everybody. Welcome back to the Royal Read. I am so glad you decided to stop by and see what I'm reading on. But before we get started, you already know I ask you to do it every single day. Every single day, I ask you to go down in these settings, look around, find your subscribe button, and go ahead on and subscribe. And while you're in there, hit your notification bell too so you know when I upload or when I just want to pop in. And give me a thumbs up to fight my nemesis, the beast. I'm telling you, it has really, really been dragging me. But I'm not going to talk about it. And right about here, that's our join button. That's for channel memberships. And if you choose to become a channel member and a part of our reading club, you will be supporting my channel to grow, to improve, and to continue. And I will be so grateful, so over the moon, so happy, so appreciative, all of that for your support. Also, if you just want to do a one-time donation to the channel, our super thanks button is right over there, and all donations to the channel is always, always greatly appreciated. Also, y'all, I have an announcement. I do. We have a new channel member. Yes, we do. Don't make me dance now. Don't. All right, now I'll bust a move in a minute. But yes, we have a new channel member, and our new channel member is Shabri Brew. And Shabri Brew, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for becoming a part of the reading club, and just thank you for supporting. Thank you for seeing something in my little channel and saying, you know what, I think she might have something there. Because that's what you're doing. You're telling me that you see something in my channel, and that means everything to me. It means everything. That is why I am over the moon to have you. And now that you are an official member of the reading club, you can go over to the community page and you will find your official welcome to the reading club right over there. And everybody, when you get a chance, go over to the community page and just show Shabri Brew. I mean, just show some love. That's all I'm asking. Just show some love and welcome Shabri Brew to our reading club because I am so thrilled, so over the moon to have Shabri Brew. All right, y'all. With all that said, let's get to the read. I know I did not come through like I usually come through, but I'm telling you, I had so many technical difficulties. It seemed like the planets was aligned to sabotage my podcast yesterday. I'm telling you, I had all kinds of shenanigans going on. I had my mic went out in the middle of my podcast. Then my camera ate it and refused to open it so I could post it on YouTube. And then on top of that, I was so late, I fell asleep editing the second one I did. And then on top of that, I just didn't even feel after all of that, I said, oh my God, what am I doing here? So then I said, I am going to get up early and I am going to post it early in the day. And then I might even come through again later on the night. You don't know about me because I just feel bad. I love to come through when I say I'm going to come through. And I know y'all be looking for me to come through every day. And I know you're disappointed when I don't come through. But just know it's always a reason when I don't come through because I said it when I first started this podcast that I was going to come through every day unless something comes up. And y'all know I have been faithful to that. But I'm telling you, my equipments, the gremlins got in my equipment and it was all kind of shenanigans going on, so I couldn't post. But anyway, I'm here now, and of course, y'all know what I did. I jumped in these internet streets, and that's where I was on all the social media platforms. I went to Blue Sky over there, hung over there with some of the squatties. I'm telling you, enjoyed myself. I really enjoy Blue Sky because you don't have to deal with the nonsense of these trolls. Somehow they hadn't gravitated over there so much yet. And I like it that way. I really do. And then I made my way to TikTok. TikTok is hopping, but y'all know it's kind of, a sad little situation over there because on the 19th, we're supposed to lose TikTok. I don't know what's going to come of it. I know Trump is trying to intervene. I don't know, but they're preparing for the worst over there. So, but they're still, their spirits are still high. All I know is let's just put up a prayer for TikTok because I really enjoy TikTok. I'm just saying. And then, of course, I made my way to Instagram. The squatties over to Instagram are just talking about all manners of stuff. I tell you what, they can't get off of. They cannot get off of Kate's wig. I'm telling you, that has been a topic that will not go away. It will not die down. I'm telling you, the squatties cannot get over that. It is so funny to me. Then I made my way to X, formerly known as Twitter, and they over there still dragging that troll, still dragging that troll, Padina, and her. And I'm telling you, the squatties are just going through everything. She absolutely came to the front, and the squatty said, "Okay, we see you. Since you have come to the front, we're gonna see what you about." And I'm telling you, squatties are going through her dreams. They're going through her aspirations. They're going through her hopes. They even found an old page where she listed herself as an actress. Can y'all believe that? And the squatties are saying, actress? Where? Who? What? What acting has she ever done? And my answer to that is I think maybe she has done some acting. I think she does acting on a daily basis, or how often she posts over there on that favorite twisted channel of hers here on YouTube. Because what she does on that channel is nothing but acting. I'm telling you. And all of those twisted, fevered subscribers she got just eat it up. So she must be doing a good job because she knows better than what she's doing. She is a first class grifter. I'm telling you. And Squatty's even found, and I'm just saying, this is what I saw on X, formerly known as Twitter. So this is where I'm getting my information. I don't have any first hand knowledge of this, but the squatties have posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, that she has a nonprofit, and she absolutely, it is in the red. I mean, it seems like the only thing that she's making money off of is hating on Meghan. And that is her full time job. It seems to be. I'm just saying, allegedly, from what I can see and gather on the X, formerly known as Twitter. But all I know is this: the squatties are dragging her up and down these internet streets. I mean, skull dragging her and skidding off the heels of her shoes. I'm telling y'all know sometimes I just go too far. But they are dragging her. They are dragging her. And then they are talking about Charles and his yearly excuse, always talking about how he's missing Archie and Lilibeth and all this kind of stuff, and how his toadies and all his flying monkeys make excuses for him. But I must say, it is starting to change a little. And I have an article by Tom Sykes, who absolutely has continued and consistently in his past two articles to call Charles out for his nonsense and his treatment of his baby son. And so we're going to talk about that too. So it is a lot to talk about. And then we're going to discuss some of the stuff the squatties are talking about because y'all know they be all over the place. And sometimes my podcast is all over the place like it is today. But we're going to enjoy ourselves and chit chat about all of it. All right, we're going to get started. We're going to talk about Charles. And this squatty made this post, and when I saw it, I knew I had to feature it on my podcast. And this particular post is the kind of post that I really, really love. And that is a post that reminds me of something that I have forgotten. Because I'm going to tell y'all, it's a lot going on in these internet streets. And a lot has gone on in these internet streets since Tina and Michelle showed up. And sometimes you forget some of the low down and dirty things that this family has done, and you also forget some of the things that have been said. And so when I run into a post that reminds me of something that I really, really want to share, and I feel it's juicy and messy, oh, I love it. So I'm going to put it up. And it says, I was no fan of Prince Philip. Me either. Prince Philip. He was a racist. He was absolutely a racist. But sometimes he would speak the truth. Well, all the time he would pretty much say what's on his mind. That's what got him in trouble. And that's how people found out he was a racist, because he absolutely was always talking and saying what was on his mind. So this particular post goes on to say, I was no fan of Prince Philip, but one thing he predicted correctly was that Charles would destroy the monarchy in no time. And where is the lie? One thing about Prince Philip, like I said, he was a racist, but he was an honest racist, and he would say exactly what's on his mind. And boy, did he know his son. He knew who he was dealing with. And he never was a fan of Charles. He was a fan of Anne's. It has also been known that he said that he really thought Anne would be the best monarch, way better than Charles. And all I can say to that is, where is the lie? Where is the lie? And would make a better monarch than Charles. But yes, Philip said he really feel that Anne would have been a much better monarch, and I must agree. All of them are mediocre, but she seems like she is less mediocre than the rest. I'm just saying. And it goes on to say, unfortunately for the rabbit monarchist, Charles's heir is a raging sociopath and will be the final nail in the coffin, meaning that William ain't no better. Meaning what Charles doesn't tear down, William will burn down. And so it's no hope for that place over there. It is no hope for the left behinds, because if you have been paying attention, you can see how dumb and stupid William is. He has always been played up as the intelligent one, and somehow Harry was the thick one. But as they've grown older and people have had the opportunity to observe who they are as human beings, you know, it has become just clear that Harry is actually the smart one, and William is really walking around running into doors so stupid. I'm just saying. But it goes on to say, well, let me reread that. It said Charles's heir is a raging sociopath and will be the final nail in the coffin. That's a good thing for the world. And where's the lie in that? It'll be a good thing for the British people. Maybe they can spend their tax money on, in areas where it would be helpful to them. Maybe it'll cut down on the number of baby banks needed for that country, or the number of food banks, or just the just unbridled poverty of some of its citizens. And maybe it'll free up some of these people, some of these farmers that are on this duchy land, that they won't have to, they can actually make a decent living. William and Charles is not robbing them at every turn. I'm just saying. So I think it would be a great thing, because let's think about this. What good is this family? I can I cannot get a good argument or a good pushback on any of that to try to justify why this particular family, just by birth, gets so much while other people get so little. I'm just saying. And I'm going to read what Prince Philip actually said about Charles. And Lord knows he called it just the way he saw it. And it is absolutely true. He said, it goes on to say, at dinner with friends, Prince Philip is said to have described Queen Elizabeth, then 91, as being in robust health and likely to live at least 10 more years. Charles would have little opportunity to damage the monarchy if he was king for only a brief period, he reportedly added. Now tell me he wasn't sitting there telling the truth. I bet he was cross-legged when he did it. Cause y'all know the Windsor men, if they cross their legs, they're gonna be telling the truth. Cause that's what William did in South Africa. That's how that reporter got out of him that Kate did not have cancer. She had cancerous cells. He sat up there and crossed his legs and told the truth. I bet you, Prince Philip was sitting there with his legs crossed and a cigarette, and he absolutely, I don't think he smoked though, but he was sitting there with his legs crossed and a nice, a little this in a glass, and he absolutely just said what needed to be said. And it goes on to say that the person that who is reporting this is Tom Bauer. Now, I'm not going to say that I believe what Tom Bauer says, because this is the same man who has done nothing but lie consistently on Meghan. But I also understand that a broken clock can be right twice a day. And so Prince Philip could have said this. I know I was watching The Crown, and from what I gather, Prince Philip was never a fan of Charles. He always found him to be very weak. And it goes on to say Bauer's own account says that the Duke also voiced doubt about whether his son, who had barely come to terms with the 20th century, could unify the country in the 21st. Well, we all see that he was absolutely right, because when Charles became king, he couldn't stop them eggs from flying over his head. He had to get cancer to stop the eggs from flying over his head. He was not a unifying figure. Charles is a failed individual, and Prince Philip knew that. I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to put this one up. And this was an article that appeared in the Times this past, I think it's been maybe 2 days ago. And it has shown that the royal family has just been reduced to people seeing it as a soap opera. Definitely not something to be held up as a standard for British life like it's supposed to be. It's my understanding that the royal family is supposed to be the exemplary example of what a British royal family should be, or a British family should be. They should be the ideal. And of course, Charles came in there just like Prince Philip said, and absolutely put his mistress, put his concubine, put his horse that has been rode by just about every person it is in Great Britain, and absolutely took that old nag and put it on the throne next to him. I'm just saying. And then on top of that, through his jealousy, his short sightedness, and his absolutely lack of insight, he and his son who is just about as stupid and dumb and jealous as he is, decided to run off the goose that was laying the golden eggs, which was Prince Harry and Meghan. Out of all of this is what they have come to, and it is a gutter level monarchy. And this particular article says this, who that absolutely proves exactly what I just said. People do not hold them in high esteem anymore. That esteem, that prestige, that decorum, that mystique actually was packed up with Queen Elizabeth. They put that in that coffin with her. and lowered it down in the ground because we hadn't saw any of that since her funeral. Since they broke that rod, I remember when in the last of the ceremony where they in at her funeral they took that stick and they broke it, and that was supposed to symbolize the end of her reign. Well, they absolutely packed up decorum. They packed up prestige. They packed up mystique. They packed up all the goodies and they put it down in that coffin with her and lowered it down in St. George's Chapel. In the tombs down there, that's where it's at because it definitely is not with Charles and his horse. So this particular article that showed up in the Times says this: only Beatrice and Eugenie can revive our royal soap opera. That's all they think about it. They don't think about it's something to an ideal, something to be looked up to. I mean, when I tell you the monarchy is circling the drain, it is circling the drain. And they're not by themselves either. All of those rags are right there with them. They're holding on to each other, trying to keep them slipping on down the drain. But I digress. Like I said, it says only Beatrice and Eugenie can revive our royal soap opera. Then it goes on to say, when we hear of the poor old Windsors, the news is inevitably bad. The Duke of York's princess daughters can give us a new plot line and something to gossip about. That's it. Charles have reduced the royal family to something to be gossiped about. And this particular squatty reposted that and said this: it's a disgrace that Charles has turned his dysfunctional family into a ghetto reality TV entertainment show for the world to feast on and gossip about. Where is the lie? Where is the lie? I'm telling you, they have created such chaos within that family. And they have created so much blowback. When they decided to smear Harry and Meghan, when they decided to initiate a smear campaign against this couple who only had goodwill towards them, they created a blowback that has tarnished everything it is about the monarchy. And I am so proud, so honored to be part of the tarnishing of that monarchy. I am, because any organization, any firm that would do that to its own, like they have done Harry, a person who has done nothing but poured into that institution everything that he is and everything that he could be, and he poured that into that institution, and all he got out of it is nothing but disrespect and smearing. I'm just saying. And also smearing of his wife. So all I can say is I am so happy to be a part of the blowback. I am so happy to be part of that pushback that has absolutely contributed to the fact that this particular monarchy has been reduced to just something you gossip about. I'm just saying. Then this squatty goes on to say, when you think royal family, you think soap opera. No other royal has this level of clownery surrounding them. No decorum, zero prestige. Where's the lie? Just like I said, they packed that up and put it in that coffin with Queen Elizabeth II and lowered it down in the vault. That's where it is. If you want to go and find some decorum, royal decorum, go down there, where Queen Elizabeth is at. Go down there in them tombs and you will find it in there with Queen Elizabeth II, because it is none for the left behinds over here. No, absolutely not. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, we're going to go on. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. Y'all remember this from, it was day before yesterday, my podcast. And I talked about how Tom Sykes, who is a staunch royalist and who is just a toady when it comes to the royal family, and he is a flying monkey as well, he does nothing but write hit piece about Harry and Meghan. I mean, his writing about Harry and Meghan has spiraled into something that is absolutely at a level of disrespect that even it makes me so angry that I have to really, really monitor myself on what I absolutely read that he has written about Harry and Meghan. It has gotten just that bad. Y'all remember I even featured one of his articles. He was talking about Wallace Simpson and was saying that Meghan, trying to associate Meghan with her and saying some, hypersexual things and accusing Wallace Simpson of doing that, was saying that the royal family had did that and just associating Meghan with that nonsense and trying to insinuate that somehow Meghan did something to Harry in that way that has caused him to leave the royal family. Just stuff like that is what he has descended into when it comes to his writing about Harry and Meghan. So, this is why it's so surprising to me when I read this particular article and I featured it in my podcast. Well, to my surprise, he did not leave it alone. He did not go home and enjoy him some fruitcake. No, he came back with another article, and I'm going to put that up and I'm going to put it here. And as you can see, he is coming for the king. He came for the whole family and kind of specifically for the king in his first article, but he came straight for Charles in this particular article. And I'll tell you what the most surprising thing about it is the verbiage that he used. He used verbiage that's usually reserved for Harry and Meghan. And you know what it is? Well, let's just read the headline and you tell me what it is, what you think it is. It says King Charles slammed for brutal Christmas rejection of Prince Harry. Yes, yes, you heard it right. They use the word slam. Usually, slammed is a word or an adjective that is always reserved for Harry and Meghan when the flying monkeys are writing this nonsense. But yes, Tom Sykes absolutely used the word slammed when it came to Charles. He did. And he put it in the title. And let's go on with it. It says King Charles slammed for brutal Christmas rejection of Prince Harry. And then it says season of goodwill with a question mark. Absolutely questioning, is he really all this talk of goodwill and family and coming together? He is calling him out for that in his little subtle way, calling BS on that nonsense that Charles was doing over there, and William too, over there pretending like they care. I'm just saying. So he called him out on it. And then it goes on to say the king is made to look increasingly hypocritical by his ongoing failure to reconcile with Harry. Just flat out telling him, you look like a hypocrite. You over here talking all about family and love and coming together, and you're not practicing what you're preaching. And plus, we're over here suffering. We can't get any clicks or views, and Harry and Meghan are in Montecito serving up plate after plate after plate of dust, and we are absolutely trying to hold on to keep from slipping down the drain. And here you are talking all this flowery nonsense and not doing what needs to be done, and that is making up with Harry and Meghan so we can absolutely go back to making a living. That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying. Let's go on. It says King Charles has been criticized for not acknowledging his son, Prince Harry, his wife, Meghan Markle, or their two children in Christmas address, which focused on how the holiday was a chance for family and friends to come together. Yes, Charles over there talking all that flowery nonsense, and they calling him out on it. And all these rags and all of these raw reporters are drowning in red ink. And Charles is over there talking all that nonsense, living over there in his palace, hadn't missed a meal. And here all these flying monkeys are scared that they're going to get a notice to say that they're redundant and they are not going to have a job and in the new year, and he's over here spouting all this nonsense like he usually does and doesn't care about what's going on with them. This is what Tom Sykes is saying. He's saying what you're doing is hypocritical. And we need Harry, Meghan, and them babies back over here so we can have something to talk about that people are interested in hearing and seeing about. I'm just saying. But it goes on to say the closest Charles came to acknowledging his family in California, his family in California, was when he spoke about the need to protect and safeguard the environment for the sake of our children's children. However, no direct reference was made to Prince Archie or Princess Lilibet. Now, isn't that low down to Charles? Tell me, I get on this podcast consistently and call Charles a trash father, a trash grandfather, and a trash king. And every day, consistently, he proves me right every time. Every time he shows his face, he proves me right. Because how trash that is. You absolutely have a whole family. Your son, your blood son. And because he chose to live his life in a different way, and because he chose his mental health and the safety of his family, you choose to not to even acknowledge his existence. But I'll tell you what, Harry and Meghan unlearned that trick because this whole year and the year before that, they have not even acknowledged or spoke on anything that had to do with anything about that family over there. They have not. They have painted them invisible to the point where the flying monkeys are begging Harry and Meghan to mention them in polo. I'm just saying. And y'all don't forget to run polo. Every time I say polo, I have to say that. Go run it. Go run it. Let's continue to run those numbers up. But I digress. But yes, he proves me right every single time. I'm just saying. It says, by contrast, multiple images were shown of his son, Prince William, and his wife, Kate Middleton, and their three children, Princess Charlotte, Prince George, and Prince Louis. See, he did this little montage movie and had William and Kate and his other grandchildren in it. You know, Charlotte, Louis, and Charlotte, Louis, and George. But almost just pretty much saying that Archie and Lily doesn't exist. But I think of it like this. I think it's a good thing. I am a squatty who thinks that Charles absolutely not mentioning Harry and Meghan is a good thing. And this is why I am always happy when they keep Harry and Meghan's name out of their mouths. And just continue to prove what we squatties have said all along, that Charles is only interested in who he can use to bolster his own popularity, his own profile. And when Harry took himself out of that position to be thrown under the bus, when Harry took himself out of the position of being a whipping boy, when Harry took himself out of the position of being the scapegoat, Charles and William had no more use for him. And since he is not going to allow his children to be put in those positions. They don't have any use for the children. Do you not know William has never met his niece Lilibet? I'm just saying. That just says everything to me about who he is. I'm just saying. But let's go on. So he had this whole little montage, and he did not even feature Lilibet or Archie. And my whole thing is this: he couldn't, because Charles doesn't have any pictures of those children. He has no communication with little Archie or Lilibeth. I bet you he couldn't pick them out in a crowd if he tried, and vice versa. Lilibeth and Archie would not know who he was. I bet he shows up on the television and they don't even know who he is. And all I can say is they're safer that way. I'm just saying, because we all know when you outshine those folks over there, when you have the shine, when you're better at everything that they do, and when the public has so much interest in you, they Diana you. They Diana you. And y'all know what I mean when I say that. So, yes, I feel like it has worked out for the best. Keep on painting each other invisible. And because Harry and Meghan has moved on. Now, what the other ones, the left behind, needs to do is to really paint them invisible, Harry and Meghan, I mean, and stop planning stories and creating narratives about them. And you truly will have achieved what all of us really, really want, is for y'all to move on. I'm just saying. And then Tom Sykes goes on in this article and says the refusal to acknowledge Harry's family went almost entirely unremarked in largely fawning accounts of the annual televised speech in the British media, but was criticized on social media. What he's saying is that Charles stood there and gave that speech and did not acknowledge his son, his daughter-in-law, or his grandchildren, pretty much being the trash person that he is. And the British media had nothing to say about it. They are just fine with him being trash. I'm just saying. And so, but Tom Sykes said it was not like that on social media. Now, I can only speak from, what I saw. I didn't see anybody having anything to say about it. The squatties didn't have nothing to say about it, and the derangers didn't have anything to say about it. I think for once, the squatties and the derangers was actually, in a mutual agreement about this speech, because the derangers were happy that they felt that somehow Harry and Meghan was slighted, and the kids were slighted because he did not acknowledge them in any kind of way. And the squatties was happy because he did not mention them, because we are always happy when those people across the pond keeps Harry and Meghan and those babies' names out of their mouths. So that's why it wasn't that much chatter that I saw of anybody talking about it, because he absolutely threaded the needle. He did. He threaded the eye of the needle. He made everybody happy, because we're always happy when they keep the Sussexes' names out of their mouths. But he's saying evidently something went on social media. But I did notice he only gave one example of what was being said. But it went on to say, and he went on to post what this particular person said. And evidently, it was a post that said something like, media is making the same crap every Christmas. Charles does not give a toss about Harry and his family. He made them homeless. Where's the lie? Whoever this person was, they came with the facts. And I don't have no problem with that. I'm just saying. And it says he only cares about Camilla. Boom. There it is. This particular person just came on with it. I don't know what Tom Sykes found this person. They say her name is Sue John. I don't know where he found Sue John, but Sue John came with the facts. And she pretty much called him out as the trash individual that I just said he was. It goes on to say that the Daily Beast has been told that Charles would like to reconcile with Harry, but is being blocked from bringing him back into the family by William. And y'all remember when just earlier in the podcast we were talking about Prince Philip and how Prince Philip pretty much just said that Charles was a weak person. And like I was telling y'all when I was watching The Crown, that was the general take of Charles by Prince Philip, that he was weak. He was weak. He could not take it. You remember he sent Charles to that school and they didn't do nothing but bully Charles. I'm telling you, those boys at that school that Charles went to, I think it was somewhere in Scotland. I'm telling you, they drug him up and down them streets of Scotland. I'm telling you, all in the mud holes and everything. Charles just begged. He didn't want to go back. But Prince Philip said, oh, yes, you're going. You're going. And he just never had any kind of respect for Charles. He did not. And he always considered him as weak. And to me, this is such a weak move. Because let's think back, even when the queen was well into her 90s, she did a lot until really got sick and really got feeble, because they said at the end the queen absolutely would have memory lapses. In her life, she had bouts of dementia. So, that's why I always give the queen, I give her some slack, because this was a woman who was well into her 90s. But before she really descended into that kind of state, that dementia type state, and her illness really took over, the queen did what the F she wanted to do. And that was when she wanted to see Harry and Meghan, she always kept in contact with Harry. She did. They would Zoom. Harry said it himself that the Queen and Prince Philip would be on Zoom and be watching Archie running around like crazy. Y'all remember that? He said that. And so the Queen made sure that she maintained a relationship with Harry and also with Harry's children, her great grandchildren. The Queen did that. And then she made it her business to meet Lilibet. She had met Archie. Look at, she even took that famous picture with her and Prince Philip and Harry and Meghan and Doria and baby Archie. They meant that they were going to meet their great grandchildren. And then the Queen made sure that every time they came, they had security. That iconic FU the Queen gave to the rest of the family when during her Jubilee at St. Paul Cathedral, when Harry and Meghan came in, they got their own procession. The Queen did that. She made sure that Harry and Meghan stood out, that they wasn't othered. And also she made sure that everybody knew what she said. She meant that. She stood on that. And that was that Harry and Meghan and Archie would always be much loved members of the family. And she never treated them any other way than that. But look at Charles. Charles is his weak self, in his weakness, talking about he wants to make up with Harry, but William is standing in the way. How weak is that? You are the king of the United Kingdom. What is William gonna do to you? And even when William comes into power, you're gonna be dead. Did you forget that? Because in order for him to come into that power, in order for him to get the big hat, you got to blow out your last breath. And when you blow out your last breath, why do you care about what's going on with William? What? It just shows so much weakness on his part. And I can't with Charles. And he is supposed to be the head of the family. He is the one who's supposed to set the course of how his family is supposed to go. And here he is telling the daily beast in his weakness that the reason he hadn't did what he needed to do to absolutely mend his family is because of William. And um, it goes on to say who is irreparably opposed to any such move. Charles is the king of the United Kingdom. He shouldn't care what kind of problem William got. What he gonna do? Quit being the heir to the throne? If Charles absolutely wield the power that he has within his family, he can absolutely make William come to bay. He can take control of that situation, but he's so weak. He is. And I just cannot stand that about him. It goes on to say the elder son believes Harry's betrayal of the family in his book and interviews in which he accused a member of the family, later revealed as Kate, of racism, put him beyond the pale. William's consent is needed. Why? Why is William's consent needed? Somebody need to explain that to me like I'm 5 years old. Because the last time I looked, the top of the food chain is the king. And what, like I said, what William gonna do? Quit? Let him quit. It'll be somebody to take that slot just like any other job. It's somebody who will take it. I'm just saying. Because if you look at the history of that monarchy, it has never went in a straight line, not a straight bloodline. It's all kinds of people who've gotten that throne. Even Queen Elizabeth, she wasn't in the line of succession to inherit the throne until Edward himself, who was king at the time, decided to abdicate, and he had no children. So, miss me, let him quit. Get some backbone there, Charles, walking around with them childbearing hips and no backbone. I'm just saying. And then all this whole thing about Kate talking about it was beyond the pale. Well, it was beyond the pale, her talking smack about Archie's skin tone. This middle class woman who is nothing but a social climbing little had the nerve to come at Meghan and try to look her nose down at her and trying to somehow diminish her child, who is equally the king's grandchildren. So stop it. See, I have always said that it is never about their behavior, it's always about the exposure for them. They never want to act in a kinder and better manner. They just don't want you, they want you to take all the BS off of them and keep your mouth shut. That's who they are. They are not good people. But like I said many, many times before, they would have never had this problem if they had treated Harry and Meghan well. It would have never been a spare. That book would have been a whole different book because it wouldn't have never existed. If they had treated Harry and Meghan well, the Oprah interview would have been a whole different interview because it wouldn't have existed, because it wouldn't be an interview. Everything that has happened to that family has been self inflicted, but they want to project it upon Harry and Meghan. This is what William is doing, and this is how he has been raised by the firm, for other people to be the blame, never him to accept his responsibility or his consequences. Look what went down with that. This is a perfect example right here. That Frankenstein picture that they put out there for Kate's Mother's Day. And the lie that was told was William had took that picture 2 days before they released it. Well, then we all came to learn that no, that was not true. That was a lie. But then who got thrown up under the bus? the so-called woman with the precancerous cells. She's the one had to go under the bus, not William, not the one who they said took the picture. No, not that one. And so, William, when have you ever saw or heard of William and Charles accepting any kind of responsibility for anything? You remember when they did all those interviews with Diana and Charles? He never accepted any responsibility for the cruelty that he had perpetrated on Diana, how he cheated on her. He stood up there and did not take responsibility for anything. And that is the way they are raised over there. And it is not conducive for the real world. I'm just saying. But like I said, if he feels like it's beyond the pale, so be it. But this is the reason why I have said it time and time again. Harry don't need to eat in them folks' food over there because they clearly are not his friend. I'm just saying. And then this article goes on to try to justify all of the nonsense that these people have participated in all year and trying to drag in the Norwegian royals into it. Because we all know at the end of the day, the real trash royals now, who used to be the gold standard. I'm telling you, when Queen Elizabeth was on the throne, the UK royal family was the gold standard. It was the gold standard. She held it up. It was stuff going on up under her, like Charles O shenanigans with that horse of his and all that. But at the very top was someone who held it down and was the gold standard. And the UK royals have been the gold standard for the European royals for, well, Queen Elizabeth's whole reign. But now they're not so much. They're not the gold standard anymore. You have a side chick on the throne. You have a man who has professed to want to be a tampon and just all kinds of shenanigans. And we all know have all been stained and tarnished with that whole thing about Diana. They all still got that stain on them. And so now they're not the cream of the crop of the European royals. And what do they want to do now? What do all of these flying monkeys want to do? They want to attack the other European royals to bring them down. So these royals of theirs somehow feel better about themselves. So that's what Tom Sykes proceeded to do, to try to tear down the Norwegian roles. And they would, they had some difficulties with one of the step sons of the, I think, the crown prince Halcombe. He was showing out, got drunk, showed out. And then also, Sharman Derrick married one of the princesses, who is Sharman Derrick is a black man, an American black man, and he married into the Norwegian royal family. And then they want to talk about how he suffered racism and how he called them out about that and all that nonsense. But what they left out was this. Yes, yes, yes. Sherman Derrick said that he had suffered racism since him and the princess, I think her name is Marguerite. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think her name is Marguerite. Yes, he suffered. He did. He suffered racism, and they were doing some racist stuff. And he called them out and he said something about it. But the difference is how the Norwegian royal family handled that and how the king, the head of the family, handled that. He made a statement. He said, no, he will never condone any kind of mistreatment of his future son-in-law, which now is his son-in-law. He didn't, he absolutely took up for Sherman Derrick. When has Charles ever did that? Charles have not opened his mouth to this day about anything that Meghan, his Black American daughter-in-law, has suffered. Not the racism, not the xenophobia, not the misogynoir, none of it. He has said nothing to take up for Meghan. I'll tell you what he has done. He's contributed to it. He's participated in it. He has absolutely initiated it. That's why I say he a trash person. Because you can say whatever you want to about what went on in the Norwegian royal family, those two incidents. I tell you what, you can say whatever you want to about the Norwegian royal family, but the king absolutely stepped up and said what needed to be said. Weak, weak, weak Charles has done no such thing. I'm just saying. All he did was go over to Australia and copy his son, you know, trying to emulate the iconic pictures that his son created on his trip over there. This is the kind of man Charles is, him and his horse. So miss me completely with your critique of the Norwegian royal family because, baby, you cannot even stand in the presence of that king because he absolutely was not afraid to address it. And he did what needed to be done. And he showed Charles exactly what it meant to be king and the head of your family. I'm just saying. I'm going to put this up. And this kind of speak to what I just said about the smear campaign that Charles and William initiated and absolutely put their stamp of approval on. This particular squatty said this: they've invested millions into an industrial level smear campaign to destroy Meghan. When Kate and Charles were supposedly getting treatment, Charles found time to promote his jam to shade Meghan. Which cancer patient is so petty that he finds time to do that? That's a good question. Who would do that if you have cancer? When you be focused in on your recovery, when you be focused in on your treatment, when you be focused in on mending fences and trying to get your life in order because you have had a life-threatening illness, when you be doing that, or would you be over there acting petty and trying to get people to believe that you flew all the way to Australia and put your treatment on hold, treatment that you're supposed to do on a weekly basis for over a year? Stop it. I'm just saying. And I'm going to put this up. And this right here absolutely proves that Meghan is a royal icon. When you absolutely can be pictured without your face and people know exactly who you are, like Michael Jackson. You can just put up some shoes on their tiptoes and some white socks, sparkling socks, or just a glove. And people recognize that for Michael Jackson. And look at this. We don't need to know her face. We don't need anybody to have any kind of description put on this picture right here because we know exactly who it is. Because this particular person is an icon. Meghan is a royal icon. She is. There she is, y'all. There's our icon right there. Yes, you're at icon status when all you have to do is show your silhouette. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. And this says it's easy to lash out under attack. Prince Harry and Meghan don't. Instead, they create joy, uplift others, and lead with compassion. Wouldn't we all be better off if we followed their example? Yes, yes, we would. We would. But I'm sorry, I just can't. I'm petty. I'm too petty to do it. I am, because if you push me, I'm gonna push you back. I am sorry. I'm sorry. But I have always said that they are better people than me. At least I recognize and acknowledge that. All right, y'all. I'm gonna put this up, and y'all know what that means. That means if they mess with Harry and Meghan, we as the Sussex Squad will come back and eat their face off. Yes, we will. Bye.